A lot of Disney movies have adapted some pretty dark material, but softened the endings dramatically. It's a prerequisite for a Disney movie that it must have a happy ending. Victor Hugo's Hunchback of Notre Dame ends with Esmeralda being hanged, Quasimodo murdering Frollo, and then dying of starvation protecting Esmeralda's body. That's pretty metal. In the Hans Christian Andersen version of The Little Mermaid, the prince marries someone else, and the Little Mermaid is told that if she stabs the prince to death and lets his blood drip onto her feet, she will become a mermaid again. She can't do it, and so she turns into sea foam. It seems kind of shitty that Disney adapts these great stories but deprives them of their powerful endings in favor of some happily ever after horse shit. So I thought it might be fun to take a look at some Disney classics and ruin their happy endings by coming up with my own bleak and horrible ways that the films could have concluded. The first movie I thought of was 101 Dalmatians. The obvious sad ending is Cruella de Vil killing the puppies and getting her coat, but that's too easy. Plus, it's not a sad ending for Cruella. She gets what she wants. I wanted to come up with an ending where everyone loses. So here's what happens. Cruella corners the puppies. There's no one left to save them. It looks hopeless. The puppies are terrified. The puppies have to look deep within, to the blood of their wolf ancestors. This is fight or flight, and they choose fight. So, like a force of nature, all 101 Dalmatians dogpile onto Cruella, who is shocked by their sudden change in temperament. Overwhelmed by sheer numbers, she is ripped apart. We see her blood and entrails flying from the ravenous pile of spotted fiends. And when the pile dissipates, there's nothing left of Cruella but a smattering of blood. The puppies are covered in blood and guts, carrying bones and entrails in their mouths. They have neutralized the threat of Cruella, but in the process they have crossed moral lines that cannot be uncrossed. Because they have now acquired a taste for human flesh, every 101 of the puppies must now be euthanized. Pongo and Perdita, distraught that their puppies are dead, throw themselves into traffic. The strain of these events cause Roger and Anita's marriage to collapse. Roger gives up music and lives a life of mediocrity. Anita gets addicted to drugs and sells her ass on the streets of London for her next fix. The next movie I'd like to improve with my uniquely morbid vision is Beauty and the Beast. In my version, Gaston is successful in killing the beast. All the enchanted side characters revert to completely inanimate objects, their souls forever trapped within lifeless husks. Gaston turns the beast into a beast skin rug, which is where he consummates his marriage to a now totally defeated and broken-spirited Belle. She is forced to set her intellectual pursuits aside and to half-heartedly be a compliant housewife, conforming to the life Gaston expects of her, a life of menial labor, childbearing, and subservience. Of course, this is not sustainable. Eventually, Belle's true nature reasserts itself, but when her true self sees what she has become, it breaks her all over again. She drowns Gaston's children in the bathtub. He comes home from a hunt to discover his children are dead. Belle is naked, attempting to copulate with the beast skin rug that adorns the living room. The villagers, incensed by what has happened, form an angry mob, taking Belle to the center of town and burning her as a witch. Gaston in his heart knows that his selfish deeds have led to this tragic series of events. The townsfolk hold him blameless, but he knows better. So one day he wanders into the woods on yet another hunt, but this time he never returns. No one in the village knows what fate befell him. LeFou, his little yes-man, holds out hope that one day Gaston will return, but dies many years later of old age, never again seeing the smiling face of his old friend. Here's a weird one, a goofy movie. You know at the end when Max confesses to Roxanne that he lied about his dad knowing Powerline and he apologizes for lying to her? and she accepts his apology and confesses that she had feelings for him regardless of that. Then Goofy's car explodes due to damage it incurred on the film's adventure, and Goofy falls through the roof and introduces himself to Roxanne while he's stuck in the ceiling. Well, what if instead of that, Goofy lands on top of Roxanne, severing her spine and paralyzing her from the neck down? Shrapnel from the explosion also kills Roxanne's father, so she loses that connection as well. Max feels obligated to stay with Roxanne because he doesn't want to admit that he's no longer attracted to her now that she's paralyzed. And she knows that he's only with her out of a sense of guilt and pity, but she can't let him go because he's her only connection to the life she once had. Goofy sees the pain he has caused and decides to take drastic measures. He mercy kills Roxanne in her hospital bed, smothering her with a pillow. Max walks in on this happening but fails to do anything to stop it. Goofy is so wrapped up in the murder that he fails to notice his son standing behind him. When the deed is done and Roxanne is dead, Goofy turns to see his son standing there with tears in his eyes. He weeps not just for Roxanne, but for the darkness in his own heart that led him to do nothing to save her. Father and son stare blankly at one another for a long time, and though it is never spoken, there is a silent understanding between them that their family bond has been forever severed. They will never speak to one another again. Everything that they once shared with one another is broken beyond repair. Max turns away from his father, and the film ends on a tight shot of Goofy's tortured and broken face. He lets out a timid, half-mad, yuck, and the credits roll. Well, what do you think? Do you have any ideas for miserable, sad endings you'd like to see happen in your favorite movies? Go ahead and share them in the comments section down below. I look forward to seeing how your twisted little minds work. I'm TJ, the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.